President Cyril Ramaphosa is promising harsh action against ANC members facing serious allegations. Ramaphosa says he and the party's top six are finalizing new guidelines to force members facing allegations to step away from their positions. The ANC's Integrity Commission has recommended that ANC Secretary General and top six member Ace Magashule step aside. TK Pooe from the Wits School of Governance joins me via Skype from Pretoria now for more on this. Thanks, TK. As always, nice to chat to you. Deputy SG Jesse Duarte said that it's unprecedented that the party's SG is charged criminally. But so many members and key figures within the party before him have been implicated in various instances of corruption. How relevant do you think it is that constantly reference is made to the SG and his involvement?
No, thanks for having me. It's actually quite irrelevant if we're to believe what the ANC Constitution from 2017 says, because it clearly lays out that, listen, it really is immaterial whether you're the President, Secretary General, or just an ordinary member of the ANC. The rules apply to everyone from the lowliest to the highest person. So the fact that they are really not being clear on the situation speaks more to their lack of clarity over understanding their own Constitution and rules more than anything else.
So the SG is, of course, a top six member and will be involved in putting these guidelines together. Do you see a conflict of interest there? And where is the ANC's Integrity Commission in all of this? Do they seem to be completely left by the wayside and their recommendations ignored?
Well, I think the better way to phrase it is to say, where's the ANC Constitution? If you actually read Rule number 25, stated management of organizational discipline, specifically 25.70, it actually, in a very clear way, states that, listen, whether you have been, whenever you have been, let's say, a person of interest within the law, and I'm paraphrasing, within a court case, the party should actually ask you to, the party has the power to actually ask you to step aside. It doesn't need to create these many structures such as the Integrity Commission that we're having. It actually has the power, as the Constitution, Rule number 25 says, to actually just say simply, listen, go sort your issues out. Once you've sorted your issues out, you can come back. Hence, I go back to the fact that is the ANC actually paying attention to its own Constitution? Because the Constitution is actually quite clear without bringing the Integrity Commission to bear into this conversation.
How do you think these interactions around guidelines developed to get people to step down will influence internal party politics going forward?
I think the politics of the day cannot really be ignored, which is to say the ANC as it currently stands and is constituted is a very weak institution. So the weakness of the institution is being taken care of. It's been, let's say, manipulated by those, and not taking aside as to who's manipulating or not, but is to say that if you cannot abide as an individual by your own Constitution, then really it's massive of bigger problems, and I think that's the issue. That's the issue, and I want to maybe take your listeners and viewers to what happened in 2012 when Rule number 25 was used to expel the current EFF commander-in-chief. The ANC was very clear on how it wanted to use Rule number 25, and if truth be told, what current CIC Julius Malema was accused of is really quite small compared to what many of the people in the ANC currently who have been asked to step aside are doing. So really, for me, it's just an issue that the ANC is very confused and very weak about enforcing discipline. And one of the ways I think many scholars or philosophers will tell you to check whether an institution is really going in the right direction is to ask how many laws, and let's say laws and mini laws, do they make up in order to really get to what should be a very simple decision. The more the laws and many laws there are, the more it tells you that there's confusion and just basically no leadership.
On a different note, will you be watching the President's address at 8 o'clock tonight, and what are you hoping to hear from him?
Well, I'll be watching because I think we kind of have to honor that family meeting as it's so to be called. What I'm expecting, look, I think we all know where this is heading, and this is what I have to say. I do feel sorry for any person who's a president or prime minister at the moment, because you're dealing with something which is very complex and has never been done before. And the decisions, and I think we maybe might have to spare a thought for the president to say it really is almost by saying it's the economy versus human beings. But I think maybe the bigger question we need to ask is, where are we as South Africans on the issue of actually listening? Because we all know how the virus, in a most basic way, without getting very technical, spreads. But we all have to be very honest to say we as South Africans have not really been playing our part. And whatever is coming through today is really in reaction to how we as citizens have been behaving, or misbehaving, to be more honest.
TK, before I let you go, I'm glad you bring up the difficult decisions the President has to make during this time. And I want to take us back to the last presidential address and sort of the day after that, when a lot of people were moved by the president's tears during that address. And a lot of other South Africans said, well, it's too little too late. They're crocodile tears trying to get us to comply, but the government's not doing its bit. In light of all the corruption that's going on. And the hashtag #FootsaANC trended as a result.
I'll put it in two ways. I think there is something for the government, especially the ANC, to answer for. Hence, you've got things like elections, which I think we really do need to, maybe as South Africans, wake up to the fact that if we're not happy, there are other options. We might not like them, but we should at least exercise them. But the bigger question to say, we all know how COVID is spreading. It's between citizens. Now, the ANC has got many sins to answer for, but I think the time has come as South African citizens to actually say, listen, what are we responsible for? Because sometimes I think we really have taken this nanny state mentality to heart where, look, even if I'm not happy, if the sun doesn't rise tomorrow, there's a nice excuse called the ANC which we can blame. But we really do need to say, what have we as citizens been doing in fighting COVID? And I think once we really get to the heart of this, I think it actually improve our whole disposition toward how we see democracy and maybe institutions and government, because it's an us issue more than a them issue. Once we can answer the us issue, I think we can then get to the issue of saying, once we behave and can do this, can we also maybe not then extend this as personal responsibility towards how we interact with our members in parliament and political parties?
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. That was TK Pooe from the Wits School of Governance.